So we have a company called Rialto, and Jean-Pierre from Rialto, who I believe is currently residing in the UK, although it's a Belgian company. So handing over to Rialto now for the demo of your business.
Cool, thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you very well.
Perfect, thank you, Georg. It's a very sunny day here in the UK, Wales specifically. As you know, it's known for its food and its weather. So just gonna share my screen here. Okay, fantastic. So I hope you can see everything. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is JP, and today I'm very excited to present our pilot project related to energy data access. So in this presentation today, I'll first introduce our company, we'll describe our pilot project and its aims and objectives, and then we'll also go into the results, which will involve a demo and also a look at our findings. We only have 10 minutes today, so it might feel a bit rushed, but there should be enough time at the end for any questions. So let's begin. So our company is called Rialto. We were established 1.5 years ago by our parent company and main shareholder, which is the Elia Group. The Elia Group itself is comprised of the Belgian transmission system operator, Elia, and also 50 Hertz in Germany. So Rialto was founded to help drive and accelerate digitalization within the energy sector. We have a vision at the moment, which is an open and connected world of energy, full of opportunities and free from complexities. I think we share a lot of the same visions that Elering and the other TSOs on this call have today. So it might sound a bit vague, but I think it'll become clearer what we do as we get into our pilot. So we initially applied to this pilot because we share a lot of the vision around data and data access. In particular, we believe that near real-time electricity metering data is key for the transition to a sustainable and consumer-centric energy system. So the pilot title we chose for our project was Increasing the Utility and Value of Digital Data Products. And in this, we had 3 objectives. So our first objective was really about integrating with the SFeed environment and then creating a simple to use API layer on top of this. From there, our second objective was to take this API, expose it on our platform, which you'll see in a second, and really start exploring our network and speaking with our partners and identifying use cases for the data itself and also for the API. Finally, our third objective, which is why we're here today, we wanted to work closely with Elering, the other European grid operators, and of course our cohort to get us one step closer to solving the real pains in the energy sector today. So what were the results? Well, we managed to create a web API microservice, which integrates with the SFeed environment. We took this API and we exposed it on our platform, and we made it super easy to integrate and to query the data. So let's take a look. So before we get into the demo, I mentioned our vision earlier. As part of that vision, we created an API marketplace for the European energy sector. And we created this marketplace to help give businesses the tools and access to data streams they need in order to build new energy products and new energy services. So I'm going to show you the platform now. This is for energy data or energy services available over API in Europe. So the platform itself facilitates the connection between an API consumer with an API provider. So on this platform today, you'll find tons of different APIs related to the energy sector, ranging from electric vehicles to market pricing, to analytics and forecasting, to renewables, to grids, and so on. So for our pilot, we wanted to create a simple way for users to access the data within the SFeed system, of course, without compromising on security or on consent or GDPR compliance. So this is the API we created for the SFeed system. the page you see here is basically a storefront, which describes the API, the data it contains, and the company behind it, of course. So users are able to subscribe or get access to the API on this page. On this page, you'll see the technical details on how to actually query the data and integrate this API. So when we designed the service itself, we wanted it to be super easy for users to query the data. So we kind of split up the business logic and created two operations related to retrieving metering data and metering points for a given person or household. So just to demo this, I'm using a tool here called Postman, which lets you play with APIs without having to build a dedicated application. I've included the Rialto endpoint here, which allows you to query the metering data. Unfortunately, I think I can't click on the Go button, but if I hit the Go button, it would basically query this API, and then it would communicate with the SFeed servers, and then data is returned. And that data you can see down here. Web APIs like this make it very simple to integrate data and very simple to post-process and use that data in modern web applications and business processes, some of which we'll cover next. So what you can see down here is the mock data being pulled from SFeed for a specific person. I think it's a fake person in Latvia, if I'm not mistaken, for their specific metering point. And you can see, their consumption data, which is really cool. Okay. So earlier I mentioned that we wanted to demonstrate as many use cases as possible using this API we created. As a result, we interviewed dozens of companies, similar to what Elering did, regarding how they use metering data today, and for what use cases and what data they need exactly. So there isn't enough time to go into detail now, unfortunately, but I think this presentation is going to be shared, so you can take the time to really dig into this if you're interested. What you'll notice first is there's a huge amount of different use cases for metering data. And from the interviews we conducted, we can kind of draw two conclusions. So number one, we see a clear trend towards data that's needed in near real time and higher in granularity. This unlocks a tremendous amount of use cases, especially as we move towards a more decentralized system where the demand side is going to have to play a bigger role. Number two, we found that most workarounds today involve sending a device on site to collect the data. The cost of that alone and the installation overhead, that can typically wipe out any potential gain for the consumer, which is not what we want, of course. So I guess in conclusion, I think what's clear is that if the regulated routes don't offer the types of data needed or the granularity or the real-timeness for a lot of these use cases to work, then at the very least, the systems we put in place should have a simple way of pairing a device, for example, which would enable that type of data and that type of access to exist. And that's it for the presentation today. Sorry if that felt rushed, but thank you very much for listening. And I'd like to open the floor to any questions you might have.
Thank you, JP, for a very good overview and also live demo. So thanks for showing that. There was no demo effect today. Wonderful. I would have a question. Rialto has a lot of experience around Europe. So what do you see the different mindsets and realities in Europe? How is it are there differences between countries in how easy it is for Rialto to operate around Europe? And can you tell us some war stories?
100%. So Europe's funny because every country is different, and then there's different mentalities in different countries. The energy sector is complicated in its setup, and this changes depending on which country you look at. And definitely the feeling around data is very different in a country like Germany, where privacy is a huge thing, versus the UK, where UK is a lot more advanced, shall we say, in the digitalization of energy. Sorry, could you repeat the question again? I know I was getting to a point, but
basically, how easy it is for you to operate in different countries, and what are the differences between countries that you have seen in getting access to data?
Very good question. So at a grid level, I think most grid operators are pretty good with sharing their data. Most grid operators will do it in a certain way, but at least in most countries in Europe, there'll be some data that exists which you can access in some way. It might not be the easiest format to access, but at least it exists. Then you look at other businesses, for example, metering data. In the UK, you have several routes to getting that data, but it's not easy. The access exists, but it takes 6 months of integration work, it takes dedicated servers, and so on to get access to that data. And then from that, you have a business model which is born, which is similar to Rialto in that people facilitate that access for you. So access might exist, but it might not be easy, which kills a lot of use cases, especially for innovators that don't have, millions of budget, 20 developers in the back office, that kind of thing, that can't afford to put that time into the integration. Once you solve access as an issue, then you get into the issues around standardization. Based on the interviews with loads of different companies, I think even if access existed and it was simple enough, people would be already super, super happy. Once you have access, then we can look at things like standardization and that kind of thing. So I think we need to solve the access issue first, and then we can try and get into best practices and that sort of thing.
Thank you for that answer. We will soon move on. I would just like to highlight to everybody that Rialto helps companies have access to data, all sorts of data. So go check out Rialto's website. You can find the name in our materials is re.alto. So have a look. They can help you